Welcome to Inside the World of TCR, our monthly trip around the TCR universe. WTCR at Wuhan and Suzuka, TCR Europe at Barcelona, TCR Asia in Shanghai, TCR Italy at Monza, TCR Russia at Grozny, and TCR UK at Donington are all on the menu this month. Stay with us. After racing in Ningbo at the end of September, WTCR stayed in China and went to Wuhan for the third street race of the season after Marrakesh and Villarreal. Audi Sport driver Jean-Carl Venet, contesting two championships this year, TCR Europe and WTCR, had a good start from pole and took the lead from Pepe Oriola's Cupra. While Denis Dupont, third on the grid, after going wide into the first corner, rejoined and collided with Nathaniel Berton, who'd started fourth. The pair both dropped several places. The safety car was deployed from lap 4 to lap 7 after Tom Coronel crashed into the back of Fabrizio Giovanardi's car. It was a violent impact that brought the race to a premature end for both drivers. 12 laps into the race, and while Venet was leading by several car lengths over Oriola, Gordon Shedden overtook Jan Ehrlichie for third on the start-finish line. Most of the positions then remained unchanged, and so Venet won from Oriola and Shedden. Vervish was fourth, Comte fifth, and Chekon sixth. For Jean-Carl Venet, this was his third win of the season. In the second race, Morocco's Mehdi Benani in a Volkswagen Golf took the lead into turn 1 after starting from pole. 4 laps into the race, and John Philippe's Cupra missed the braking point and crashed into Ted Buick's Hyundai. Philippe retired immediately, while championship contender Ted Buick would manage to do another 4 laps before he retired as well. During the 2 final laps, Benani was under pressure from Comte's DG Sport Competition Peugeot 308. A few hundred metres from the end, Comte made a brave move but hit a tyre stack, pushed his rival's car and squeezed through. However, he went wide at the last but one turn and handed first place back to Benani. But he was able to keep Nathaniel Berton's Come2You Racing Audi RS3 LMS at bay for second place. The top 3 crossed the finish line within 6/10 of each other. For Benani, this was his maiden WTCR victory. There was plenty of drama at the start of race 3. Dupont tried to dive inside Shedden, who was leading, and the pair made contact. The Scotsman was able to stay at the front, while Guerrieri cut the chicane, moving up to second ahead of Dupont and Vervish. Behind the leaders, Venet and Comte made contact. The latter spun and was collected by Huff in a pile-up that involved Jarbo, Homola and Scheider. During the safety car period, following an order from race control, Guerrieri dropped to 4th, behind Dupont and Vervish. On lap 10, Dupont outbraked himself, hit a stack of tyres and pushed them into the side of Shedden's car. Vervish moved up to 2nd as a result. After Mehdi Benani in race 2, a delighted Gordon Shedden became the 13th different winner in the WTCR's maiden season. After China, WTCR moved to Japan and the mythical racetrack of Suzuka. Pole sitter Aurélien Comte took the lead at the start of race 1 from Chekon and Muller. But during the second lap, Chekon's Alfa Romeo overtook Comte and began to pull away. On lap 3, Buick clashed with Gordon Shedden and hit a tyre stack. The Swede retired with broken suspension, while the safety car was deployed while the tyres were put back in place. It was then the first win for the Alfa Romeo Giulietta in the WTCR, after many frustrating issues experienced by the Mulsanne team. For Kevin Chekon, who replaced Gianni Morbidelli in the middle of the season, the joy at the end was clear. In the second race, Rob Huff, second on the grid, had a much better start than Pepe Oriola and managed to overtake the Spaniard by taking the inside line into turn 1. Still on the first lap, Esteban Guerrieri made contact with Mehdi Benani and went off at turn 2, which prompted the safety car into action. 3 laps into the race, and this was when Norbert Mikelic in a Hyundai overtook Denis Dupont's Audi for third. For Rob Huff, it was his second win of the season, and he finished in front of Oriola and Mikulic. Tarquini finished fifth, rebuilding a 10-point lead in the standings, as Ivan Muller finished just outside the points. At the start of race 3, Chekon was slow in getting away from pole and dropped to fourth, as Tarquini took the lead from Jan Elachet and Aurélien Comte. But Chekon was in the wrong position on the grid, and so was given a 5-second time penalty. During the first lap, Ivan Muller managed to overtake Pepe Oriola after this contact. But later on, the Frenchman would be a victim of contact with Norbert Mikulic. He first lost positions and then had to retire. With only 3 races remaining, this wasn't what the 4-time WTCC champion needed. Chekon crossed the finish line first, but with the penalty the win went to Tarquini, while Comte was second. Binani finished fourth, Panis fifth and Huff was sixth. With Ivan Muller not scoring, the win for Tarquini took on a special significance. The Italian's lead is now 39 points and just 3 races and 85 possible points remain. However, the season finale is in Macau and that's never easy. 32 cars gathered in Barcelona for the 7th and last event of TCR Europe. Spaniard Mikel Azcona in a Cupra arrived as favourite for the driver's title, with a 19-point lead over the 2017 TCR International champion Jean-Carl Venet's Audi and 30 over Serbian Dusan Borkovic in a Hyundai. Attila Tashi, still mathematically in the battle for the title, managed to grab pole for race 1 ahead of his teammate Josh Files, with Azcona third in front of Borkovic. Venet could only qualify 13th. Despite the number of cars, the start of the race went without any major issues, and Tashi took the lead ahead of Files. Nevertheless, the safety car was deployed at the end of the first lap because the Serbian Nikola Milkovic was not able to start, and his Cupra remained in the middle of the start-finish straight in a dangerous position. 4 laps into the race, and this battle for 14th, with Paulsen challenging Potty into the last corner, ended with the Belgian going wide and losing 4 places. Going into turn 1 at the start of lap 6, Jean-Carl Venet moved up to 7th after overtaking Danny Nage. The battle for 12th place between Paulsen and Berton ended with contact, which forced the French driver to pit and then retire, while Rhys Barr, coming from behind, managed to pass the duo. Attila Tashi showed a perfect pace throughout the race, managing to build a comfortable gap thanks to his teammate Josh Files. The English driver tried to defend his second place, but his front left tyre started to fail, and this allowed first Dusan Borkovic and then Mikel Azcona to pass the Honda. Files would then retire at the end of the following lap. 2018 was definitely a season to forget for him. On the same lap, regular WTCR contender Norbert Mikulic, driving a Hyundai prepared by his own Mira team, overtook Mikel Azcona for third. A couple of corners later, 2017 BTCC champion Ash Sutton, debuting in TCR Europe in a West Coast Racing Volkswagen Golf, overtook Azcona for fourth, with the Spaniard clearly trying to avoid any risks, bearing in mind the situation in the battle for the championship. And so it was a lights to flag victory for Attila Tashi. His second win of the season was just enough to keep his chances of the title alive. Borkovic, finishing second, was now the closest rival to Azcona, but 5th place meant the Spaniard increased his lead to 23 points and now needed just 3 points to win the title from the season's final race. Venet, who finished 6th, was now the only other contender still in the battle. On the podium there was the traditional champagne battle among the winners, with Borkovic towering over little Tashi. In the second race, TCR Germany regular Mike Halder in a Honda Civic took the lead, in front of Danny Nage, who started third and managed to pass pole sitter Peter Turting into turn 1 after slight contact and a well-controlled slide. At the end of the first lap, Azcona made contact with Borkovic. The Serbian struggled to control his car and crashed into Attila Tashi, who finished in the gravel. With both Tashi and Borkovic out of the points and Azcona in front of Venet, the title battle became a pure formality, while the safety car was deployed to help get the cars off the track. 5 laps into the race, right after the restart, Halder controlled Nage without any issues, while Ash Sutton overtook Terting for third. One lap later, Norbert Mikelic, who'd started 5th on the grid, overtook Terting for 4th after the German went wide into turn 10. The battle between Venet and Azcona, which dominated the middle part of the race, ended at the beginning of lap 8 when the Frenchman overtook the Spaniard, who'd clearly backed off. Considering he was about to take the driver's title, there was no need for unnecessary risks. Azcona had proved throughout the season to be a clever tactician, and only a mechanical issue could now deny him the title. To underline that fact, in the following corner, Julien Brichet's Peugeot also overtook the Cupra. The very last race of TCR Europe was won by Mike Halder in front of Nage and Sutton. Mikelic was 4th, Terting 5th and Files 6th. The result meant Hell Energy Racing with KCMG won the team's championship. But clearly the biggest celebration was reserved for Mikel Azcona, who secured the 2018 driver's title. An impressive exploit, considering that both the 22-year-old driver and the PCR Sport team were contesting their maiden international season. Venet finished 2nd. Probably the gap would have been smaller if he hadn't skipped the event at Zandvoort, which clashed with WTCR. Borkovic finished 3rd in front of Tashi, Nage and Files. Azcona proved to be by far the most consistent driver throughout the season. Only one win in Zandvoort, but also only one DNF at the Hungaroring. Winning the title on home soil at the Circuit de Catalunya was the perfect way to end a great season in style. After different formats in 2016 and 2017, TCR Europe adopted a different formula in 2018. The result was an incredibly competitive championship with large grids, great battles and some classic circuits. The season was definitely a great success. The prize-giving ceremony took place in Barcelona on Sunday night, right after the last race of the season, in front of a packed and happy crowd. For us, it was the perfect opportunity to speak to the title contenders. First, Mikel Azcona, the championship winner. We asked him what was the secret to winning the title. I believe I won this championship throughout the season because of my consistency. Since the first race in France, I raced trying to use my head, trying not to commit any mistake race after race. Racing for the win when it was possible, racing for 5th or 6th when the car was not fast, and scoring very precious points until the end of the year. Definitely, regularity was what allowed me to win the championship. The 2017 TCR International champion Jean-Carl Venet finished 2nd, but was satisfied with his season. It's actually a very good season. We did our best. Rivals were many and strong, which is a good thing for the championship. And this high level of competition allowed us to progress.
D'avoir une compétition aussi forte, parce qu'il faut toujours, même si on n'a qu'une voiture dans l'équipe, il a fallu toujours se remettre.
We finished 2nd. We missed one event, Zandvoort, where we would have been very strong, so it was very complicated to battle for the title. Nevertheless, we finished 2nd, not that many points behind.
Extrêmement performant à Zandvoort.
A different mood for Borkovic, who, after a perfect start to the season in Paul Ricard, finally missed the title by 27 points, finishing 3rd.
On the beginning of the season, if you asked me if I would be happy to be P3, I would say that I would be quite happy. But during the season, I really felt that I have big chances. I showed the speed. I have the opportunity to be the champion, and everything went really good until the Monza. Everybody knows now what happened in Monza. I already said Sorry to the organization, to the Ascona, to the team and everybody. I cannot say that I'm happy, but okay, in the let's say top 3 is not the bad place.
Congratulations to the 2018 TCR Europe champion Mikel Azcona. TCR Asia and TCR China raced together at Shanghai at the beginning of October. For TCR Asia, it was the season finale. Luca Enschler, starting from pole, took the lead from the start. Battles within the Liqui-Moly team punctuated the race. This was when, at the end of the back straight, Mitchell Che overtook Diego Moran for second. But with the Ecuadorian driver spinning and losing several places, there were some concerned faces at the pit wall. The battle then switched to Che challenging Enschler for first and trying to keep the championship fight open, but the German doggedly defended his position. Further back, Diego Moran managed to move up several places after his spin. This was his last overtaking move on the final lap, when he passed WK Ho for third. Finally, despite some worries, it was time for celebration for team boss Franz Enschler. A 1-2-3 for the Liqui-Moly team, with Franz's son Luca winning in front of Che and Moran. Ho finished 4th overall and won the TCR China race from Felipe de Souza's TA Motorsport Audi RS3 LMS and Tian Li Ying's HE Racing Golf GTI. Luca Enschler's show continued in the second race. If you watch the right of your screen, you'll see just how good was his start from 9th on the grid. Into turn 1, the young German was already second after overtaking a bunch of drivers on the outside. From on board with Diego Moran, you can see just how easily Enschler accomplished this brilliant manoeuvre. Alex Hui, who took the lead starting from second, couldn't resist for long, and this was when Enschler snatched the lead away from him. Then the attention switched to a tight battle for second between Hui, Moran and Che. This was when the Hong Kong driver was passed by Diego Moran, and immediately afterwards Mitchell Che also managed to pass Hui. Once again, Che and Moran ended up battling each other. This time the duel was contactless, and the Malaysian driver's move to take second place from his Ecuadorian teammate was clean. So Luca Enschler won in front of Che and Moran. Hui finished 4th, KK Wong 5th, and R Wong 6th. For Luca Enschler, another title. The 18-year-old son of Franz had a great start to the season, then struggled in the second and third events before winning the last 4 races of the season in a row. There's no doubt that he deserves the title. TCR Italy's season finale took place at the Temple of Speed, Monza, at the beginning of October. Regular TCR Europe competitor and debuting in TCR Italy, Igor Stefanovski in a Cupra didn't have the best start from pole, and into turn 1 was overtaken by Eric Scalvini's Hyundai for the lead and by Salvatore Tavano, also in a Cupra, for second. Also on lap 1, Stefanovski missed the braking point into the Roggia chicane, allowing Luigi Ferrara to take third. By the end of the lap, Ferrara managed to move up to second, thanks to this move on Tavano in the braking zone for the last turn, the Parabolica. On the following lap, Stefanovski again missed the braking point at the Roggia chicane, but this time he hit Tavano in front of him. They both went wide, but were able to rejoin. 4 laps into the race, and Enrico Botera took the maximum out of his Audi's engine on the main straight and managed to overtake Tavano into turn 1. While right in front, almost at the same time, Luigi Ferrara overtook Eric Scalvini for the lead. There was a fierce battle for 4th between Larini, Tavano and Stefanovski, who missed the braking point again at the Roggia chicane, and Larini overtook Tavano, with the latter more focused on the championship fight. After a tight battle with Scalvini throughout the race, Ferrara managed to build a solid gap over the last few laps, and finally he won comfortably. Bitera was third and Larini fourth. For Ferrara, it was his fourth win of the season, but it wasn't enough to grab the title, which went to Salvatore Tavano, who finished fifth, scoring enough points with one race still to go. In the second race, Stefanovski, starting second, took the lead in front of Greco, starting from pole, with both drivers forced to cut the first chicane. The safety car was deployed on the second lap of the race because of this contact between Bernazzani's Alfa Romeo and Paolini's Hyundai at the first chicane. At the restart, the freshly crowned TCR Italy champion Salvatore Tavano hit Eric Scalvini from behind into the chicane and received a drive-through penalty from the stewards. On the main straight, Luigi Ferrara overtook Matteo Greco's Cupra for fifth, while at the same time in front, Enrico Bitera's Audi edged past Stefanovski to take the lead going into the first chicane. Seven laps into the race, and this was the way the duel for the lead between Stefanovski and Bitera ended at the first chicane. A disappointed Bitera had to retire, while Stefanovski was penalised by the stewards with a drive-through. So Luigi Ferrara jumped from fourth into the lead without a single overtaking move, thanks to the various issues of the drivers in front of him. Ferrara concluded the season in style with another win, his fifth of the year. The Honda of Lorenzo Nicoli finished second, grabbing his first podium of the season, while Matteo Greco was third. In the end, only 3.5 points separated Ferrara from Tavano in the championship. The driver from Bari proved to be the fastest during the season, but he suffered from a lack of consistency with too many DNFs for him and his Alfa Romeo Giulietta. For the seventh and final event of the season, TCR Russia went back to Grozny, which hosted the season opener. At the start of race one, Grachev's Lada took the lead from pole position, followed by the sister car of Ladijin, Badoev's Cupra and the third Lada of Sheshenin, while championship leader Bragin was fifth. The three Lada cars pulled away, while Bragin put in a great defensive drive to reject Badoev's assaults. On the final lap, knowing he'd secured the title, Bragin lifted off the throttle and let Badoev and Lukashevich through. Ladijin won in front of Grachev, but Sheshenin, who crossed the finish line third, was given a penalty for blocking Badoev, who then inherited third place. Lukashevich was fifth and Bragin sixth, scoring enough points to secure the title with one race left. In the second race, Duducalo sprinted from pole position to take the lead at the start, while Bragin was able to keep Lukashevich and Vladimir Sheshenin at bay to retain second place. On lap 3, Lukashevich and Sheshenin made contact and spun. 2 laps from the end, Ladijin overtook Badoev for fourth, and the latter then also lost fifth to Lukashevich during the final lap. Duducalo won in front of Bragin and Grachev. For Dmitry Bragin, this was his third consecutive title. Duducalo was second and Ladijin third. TCR UK's last race meeting of the year was at Donington Park, where the battle for the driver's title was a two-way affair between Dan Lloyd and Ollie Taylor. Lloyd made a superb start to race one from pole, but Taylor was the first victim of a slippery track. He slid off at turn 1, as did Carl Swift in a Cupra. Josh Price returned to the series for the final event and was clearly loving the conditions. This was the moment Price passed Andreas Beckmann for second place. But his joy was short-lived. Fuel pressure problems forced the Honda to slow and then retire, allowing Beckmann back into second place. Lloyd took the victory, his 8th of the season, and the result meant that he could no longer be caught. Taylor was only 4th, and so Lloyd took the title with one race in hand. You can get an idea of just how wet the day was from the rain on the camera lens covering the podium.
He has done it!
With the driver's title decided, Lloyd could afford to relax for the final race. Price, his fuel pressure issues still threatening, made a great start from second on the grid and took the lead from Swift going through turn 1, while the Hyundai of Lewis Kent went into turn 1 in third place but found the track was still slippery. It might have been the season's last race, but the competition was just as fierce as ever. The two Honda Civics of Ollie Taylor and Finlay Crocker made contact, with Taylor forced to take to the grass. Crocker was soon the meat in a Volkswagen sandwich, as the two West Coast Racing Golf GTIs of Lloyd and Beckman were on either side of him, going into turn 1 at Redgate. There was contact between Crocker and Beckman, although no lasting damage was done. Ahead, the two Maximum Motorsport Cupras were fighting for the podium places behind Price, and this was the moment that Stuart Lynes passed Carl Swift to move into second place. Swift's challenge would soon fade, leaving a familiar sight scrapping for third. With Lynes hanging on to second place and on course for his first podium finish of the year, Dan Lloyd went around Andreas Beckman going through Redgate to snatch third place. But nobody could catch a delighted Josh Price, who marked his return to TCR UK by becoming the championship's 5th different race winner. Lynes was second, and the new TCR UK champion Dan Lloyd was third. The weather had improved slightly for the final podium ceremonies of the season, with Josh Price picking up the Race 2 Winners' Trophy and Dan Lloyd being crowned as the first ever TCR UK Drivers' Champion. This was the last Inside the World of TCR for 2018, and we hope you've enjoyed the programmes. We'll be back in 2019 with even more TCR championships from across the world. But for now, it's goodbye.